Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Ram Mallappa. I live in Atlanta with my wife and two daughters. I am originally from India. I grew up in a small town called Joke Falls. That waterfalls was about 2 miles from my home, and I consider myself lucky to have to be living in that during childhood. And the water is not a whole lot, but it is about 5 times taller than Niagara. While I was growing up in that small town, we used to celebrate this festival of Lord Ganesha. He is a Hindu god with an elephant head, and people worship him for 7 days every year. And the statue is made of clay, so it is kind of symbolic to show that clay comes from earth, and then you celebrate for some time, and then at the end of the celebration they take the statue and put it in water, and the clay will dissolve and back into earth. So just to get that concept into everybody's head, they do this celebration every year. It's a big festival. And during these 7 days of celebration, they have lots of music and dance programs in almost every town in India. They have the idol set up on the roadside with a tent, and they have music programs.
Yeah.
They have music programs and dance programs and anything to do with performing arts. They have lots of those programs every evening, and I used to go and attend all of them. And my favorite was the music concerts where there used to be a flutist, and I was always fascinated by the instrument that is just a simple piece of pipe, piece of bamboo with some holes can make such a beautiful music. I was always fascinated, and throughout the concert I would just stare at that guy who is playing flute. So that was the beginning of my interest in flute. And I tried making flutes when I was in middle school and high school age, and there was no suitable bamboo available, and I did not know where to go and get some. The only source I could find was bamboo fences that people were using around the tennis court to keep the ball from flying away. And when the fence gets old, they just dismantle the fence. They are really tall. They are like maybe 20 feet long, high, and they dispose them at the end of the playing field. I used to go there looking for some good pieces of bamboo. And I did not know how to drill holes. I had no idea that the holes were burnt into the bamboo. I always tried my dad's drill, and I would always end up cracking the bamboo, and then I gave up on it. Then I went to college, and I got a job, and I came to New York, and I worked there for some time, and then I moved to Atlanta. That's when my first daughter was born. When she was born and she was a couple of months old, I was wondering, she is an American citizen. Will she ever appreciate all the arts and traditions of India? And I wanted her to learn at least one form of art, like maybe music, maybe dance, something from the tradition. So then I started thinking that I myself don't know anything. So I never learned any of those performing arts. So I decided to start learning something. So my memories of flute came back, and I found a teacher in India, and I started learning over the phone. I started with bamboo flutes, just like most traditional students. And when I brought my bamboo flutes to Atlanta, within few months, they all started cracking like what you see. and I was very disappointed. I did not know what to do, and I tried to get more flutes, but realized it's very hard to find well-tuned bamboo flutes. I started looking for alternatives. Can I make my own flutes? And I could not find bamboo. The bamboo that grows in Georgia it does not have a good length between the joints. Then the only thing closest I could find was tiki torches in Home Depot. So I did make some flutes from tiki torches. They play reasonably well. It is just that you cannot find it in the right size to make it for a particular key. And I am going to show several of the flutes that I made in different material, and I am going to play 10 seconds of a small tune so that you have something to compare. So this is a tiki torch. While making the bamboo flutes, I started doing research on how to prevent the cracks in a flute. Then I learned that the bamboo expands and contracts with the humidity changes, and if you can prevent humidity from getting in and out, you can avoid the cracks. So what most of the research I did suggests is that linseed oil is the best to apply, and you should not apply any kind of vegetable oil because that can spoil the flute. It can turn rancid and it will spoil the flute. So any kind of mineral oil or linseed oil is recommended. And if the flute starts cracking, at the end of the crack, if you drill a very tiny hole, you see where the V is at the latest point in the crack. If you can drill a tiny hole and then fill it with some glue, then you can prevent the crack or help it from cracking bigger. So after some more research, I found that PVC pipes can be used for making flutes as well, and I started going to Home Depot and started getting all the different sizes of pipes they have, and I started making flutes from them, and they work pretty good and I did learn my flute lessons. I did take flute lessons using these flutes. I will play the same tune, another 10 seconds of sample. This is a small one, half-inch pipe used for water supply lines. And this is a slightly bigger one. You can make little lower pitch flutes with this. With PVC flutes, there are few things to keep in mind. If you drill too fast into the pipe, the heat generated by the drill bit melts the pipe and it really mangles it, and it becomes very hard to clean it up. If you try making flute from a PVC pipe, drill really slow. And and most of the PVC pipe has some printing on it. To get rid of the printing, it is easy to sand it, but when you sand, fine powder of plastic comes out, and it is not really healthy to breathe that. So what I do is I use wet sanding. I have a bowl of water next to me and use wet sandpaper and keep pouring a little bit of water on the flutes and sand it. Thick wall PVC pipes give you stable sound. You can hold a note without wavering too much, but they are slightly harder to play, and the holes need to be slightly bigger to compensate for the thickness. Like this. These are called Schedule 80 PVC pipes at Home Depot. I believe they are used for sprinkler systems, and because the holes are deep, they offer some extra resistance to blowing, but they can hold the note very steady. So somewhere around this time, around 2003, and in July 2003, my second daughter was born. So now I had one more wish, that I wanted her to play flute as well. So I continued learning. I continued doing my research on flute making. This is another kind of material I tried. It is called polycarbonate, and which is very easy to work with, and it does not have that melting problem like PVC pipe. It can withstand lots of machining kind of operations. But it mostly comes in one of the transparent colors. So it's easy to work with, but the thing is, if the scratches and any kind of the fog and moisture that builds up when you're playing the flute, it all shows, so it's not visually appealing. So I stopped making with the polycarbonate flute pipes, but they sound pretty decent. The next thing I tried was making from aluminum pipes. Because I could not find PVC pipes and polycarbonate pipes in some of the thicknesses and diameters that I wanted, I was always on the lookout for new kinds of pipes that I could use. One thing I found was wind chimes, and that made me thinking, why can't I use aluminum for making flutes? So I did make several aluminum flutes, but they are harder to make, and they take a lot of work to give it a fine finishing and make the holes smooth. I have one to show here. One advantage is with aluminum flute is it stays cool when you are playing. It does not get heated up like bamboo or wooden flute and change the pitch. But finishing is difficult, and during winter days, it does not really feel that comfortable. After doing all this, and then I came back to PVC pipes because that looked like a good compromise between the extremes of like bamboo splitting as well as hard to drill aluminum and hard to polish aluminum. But I really needed some specific sizes to make the keys that I wanted. And around this time I had been learning already like 10 plus years, and my teacher suggested, he presented a concert on the first day here, Mr. V.K. Raman. He suggested that I do a graduation concert, which is a traditional concert performed on the stage in front of people, where the teacher is present and he guides the whole thing, and you perform for 2.5 hours, and it contains all kinds of demonstration of your skills, and at the end of it, the teacher will allow you to teach somebody else. So he thinks that is where the teacher considers you as ready to teach somebody else. So he suggested that I do the graduation concert, and for the concert I needed some specific keys and combination of flutes where I can go up and down the scale and using 3 or 4 flutes, and I did not have the right size pipes to make the flutes. So I started calling companies who make PVC pipes and asking how much does it cost to make custom sizes. They were willing to do it, but they wanted me to buy at least a truckload full. So I decided that is not going to work. So then I started looking for ways of getting a pipe of the size I wanted. Around this time, everybody was talking about 3D printing and how you can print things that you can draw. So it looked very fascinating, and my background is computer science, and I am a software engineer. I thought maybe I should try this. So I started reading about 3D printers, and I started buying little parts from eBay and Amazon.com and started experimenting with them. And it took me about a year and a half, but I ended up building a 3D printer, and it took me some more time to make it really work properly. And finally, I was able to print the flutes and perform my graduation concert, all using 3D printed flutes. And how many of you have seen 3D printer print something? You have seen. So does anybody want to watch a 2.5 minute video?
Yep. Yeah.
This is my 3D printer. This is my second one. The first one was made all by hand, and that one I could not use it because I could not find a perfect piece of glass.
I'll just to light for people to see. You built this printer as well, Ron?
Yes.
Yeah. I can see it.
Yeah. Sorry for all the shaking of the video that happened because I fast forwarded to make the 5-hour video to be shown in 2 minutes. So all the slow shakes became really fast.
Was this a kit or did you?
No, I built all the green parts and white parts you see. They are printed on my other 3D printer. The first one I built was like big in width wise, but I could not find a perfect piece of glass that is 2 feet wide and which can be heated to 70 degrees centigrade. So I ended up building a second printer, which is this one, and I printed all the parts from my first printer.
Do you have a patent on it?
No, I don't do that.
Why not?
Because 3D printing is not really my invention. I just learned how to make a 3D printer myself. But I did design all the flutes that I print. And right now I do not have any kind of patent. That is some simple object that I printed. Printing a flute takes something like 9 to 13 hours.
What is the material?
The material is called PLA, which is a scientific name that is called polylactic acid, but in common language we call it organic plastic. It is made using potato starch, corn shells, tapioca seeds. They are all mixed in a proportion, and it becomes like plastic. When it is mixed and ground, it becomes like plastic. These are some of the 3D printed flutes that I used for my graduation concert. I have several of them here and here. You are welcome to come and look at them. The raw material is organic plastic. If you put one of those flutes in the soil, within a couple of years it biodegrades. It takes more than 9 hours to print a medium-sized flute. It takes about 1 to 1.5 hours of post-processing to clean it up, because 3D printing, when it is printed, it's not really smooth. You need to do some sanding and cleaning up. How does it sound? Several of people, like they were asking me how does it sound. So I have my daughters here. They are going to play a little song. And after that I can answer any of your questions. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to come and talk to you all. Thank you, Dr. Kathleen. I thank World Flute Society for this opportunity. And if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them.
Have you thought of doing anything commercially, or are these only for your own use?
Making it commercially, it's a slow process. It takes me the whole weekend to make 2 flutes. And I have made several flutes for maybe 8 or 9 so far for people who are learning Indian classical music. And but selling commercially is, I don't know if people are willing to pay for that my time. So I have not tried.
What is your size restriction?
This is the biggest my printer can print. So it can be made to print taller, but it becomes very difficult because while printing the printer shakes, and that results in the errors in the diameter. So I have not been able to print anything taller than this. But if I need to, then I might print it in pieces and join them.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so you print vertically, right?
Yes.
Have you tried using any other materials for printing?
I have tried using, this is printed using something called wood filament. It has wooden powder mixed into the organic plastic. And if I print it with just plain organic plastic, it still comes out good. I just wanted that wood look. If I printed without the wooden powder in it, it would look something like this. This plastic comes in several colors. You can buy any color, and it will be like that. The only thing with this is it's extremely hard to sand if there is no wood powder mixed in it. So I started using this.
Is it brittle? Like, I've done some 3D printing, and when I make American style flute, and if it fell,
It is brittle, but that is the reason I print it really slow. If you print it extremely slow, then the layers get time to stick to each other well, and it's not too brittle. These can withstand a decent amount of abuse, and you can compare them to bamboo, the strength of bamboo, but they do not expand or contract with the weather changes or moisture changes, and you can wash them. Because after playing for some time, the breath going through the flute can make it unpleasant to play. So these flutes you can wash them, and only if you leave it in soil for a couple of years they biodegrade. But otherwise, it is pretty safe to wash in water. And I have done test by putting this immersed in water for like 2 weeks, and nothing changes. They can take fair amount of abuse. I don't like to drop flutes, but I can just, if you are curious, I can demonstrate. Any other questions?
Who was your teacher?
My first teacher that I started with is Mr. Somshekhar. He is in India. And after a couple of years of learning, it was extremely difficult to make international phone calls and take a lesson. It was getting very expensive. In those days, international calls costed something like $4 per minute. So then I found a teacher in Virginia, that is Mr. V.K. Raman. He did do the opening concert here at this event, and also he did a lecture demonstration, I believe, in the same room.
They know him better as Raman Kalyan.
Raman Kalyan.
Yeah.
Raman Kalyan. So that is his real name, but he calls himself Flute Raman. That is my current teacher.
Are the raw materials fairly easy to source in large quantities?
Yes, they are available. It is available on Amazon.com, and there are some suppliers. You can find them online, like eBay, and some of them, if you ask for large quantities, they do give fair amount of discount. And the raw material for the flute does not cost a whole lot. For this flute, probably the raw material itself is worth maybe $5, but it is the effort that goes into just babysitting the printer.
Do you print the holes in it with the holes?
Yes.
You do, okay.
Yes.
It looks at least like they are commercial printers, 3D printers similar to your configuration.
Yes.
Why did you decide to build your own?
When I started building 3D printers, there were not many affordable ones that are available which can print bigger objects. Most commercial printers, even now, if you are looking for anything under $1,000, the biggest object you can print is maybe this. So maybe a little wider, it's like 8 inches and 8 inches, 8 inches. That's about the biggest you can get. Anything beyond that size, it is hard to keep the printer calibrated precisely. So any of the bigger printers, they cost, now you can find one for maybe $10,000. But when I was doing my research, there was nothing available. And when I called some companies asking if they could make me a taller printer, they wanted like $25,000 or $30,000 to make a custom one. I was not sure if it would work for me. If I make flutes with this material, would it really sound right or sound good, or is it even print without jamming? I had all these questions. I was not ready to invest $30,000 into a printer.
You buy a lot of flutes.
Yes.
You mentioned it doesn't come out perfectly smooth. Do you have to then sand the inside of the flute also?
Yes.
Now, you're using some sort of CAD program to drive the printer?
Yes. I use several CAD programs. Basically, in 3D printing, you have to draw the object that you want to be printed. The video you saw, that object, I made by combining a couple of designs that were available on the internet. I just took a vase, cut the bottom part of that and made it a little bow, and copy pasted 4 of them together, and took a cabinet handle, stuck it to that in the drawing, and then I gave it to the printer because my mom wanted something like that. So you basically use a 3D drawing program. You can start drawing lines with exact dimensions, and you can rotate the object. You can draw the other side, the inside, zoom in, zoom out, and once your object is ready, you save that onto a memory card. You probably have seen the memory cards that go into the digital camera. My printer accepts this kind of cards. It can read the files in this, and it can just print whatever is in the drawing.
You can actually, I'm not sure if you looked recently, but you can buy a printer from, you can even get them from Walmart now.
Yes,
Yeah.
you can. Walmart, Micro Center, Home Depot, I believe Staples may have them too, but they are all small. They're all small. And some of them do use proprietary print head. If it goes bad and if your filament jams, I have had flutes that print all the way up to here and then jam. After 11 hours of printing, if it jams, then it's very difficult to start all over again.
Is there a reason that you specifically chose the PLA instead of ABS?
Yes. ABS, I use my printer inside the home in my basement, and ABS produces lots of toxic fumes. If you have an outside shed where you can run your 3D printer, then ABS works better, but I did not have a place where I could put the printer outside. ABS is basically the plastic that these things are made of. This is ABS.
What, yeah.
Are they toxic, is ABS toxic in its final form or just during the carbon?
During the printing. During the printing, any plastic, you are not supposed to heat it beyond some small limit. And even the food containers we use, if you heat it too much, they release toxic gas, and they're not good.
So if you put in your plastic in the microwave, not a good idea?
Not for long time, like maybe 30 seconds is safe, or 1 minute maybe. But more than that, it gets into that area where it's, depending on the power of the microwave and what is in the container, it can be toxic. So if there are no more questions, you are welcome to come and look at the flutes. If you want to trade one of your flutes with one of the 3D printed ones, you are welcome to.
I like his painting.
These are PVC. These are PVC. Yeah. These are all good.
So I guess depending on what you take up with fire or what's in.
These are the PVC. The rest we all.
Now it's becoming popular. But I think
These are 3D printed.
I first heard about it. First I've heard.